Hello everyone, I am Left, and welcome to another episode of Vainglory in Depth. This one I've been wanting to do for a while, I just haven't been able to find the time, just because of how cool and nuanced and complicated this hero's kit is. And if you're looking at the screen right now, you'll know that that's Samuel. Samuel is a really fun dark mage in Vainglory that was added, I don't know, a little bit ago, along with Lance and Lyra, around the same time period as that. So let's get right into some backstory for Samuel. Samuel dislikes two things: his adopted mom, Lyra. You're not my real mom, and it's not a phase. And aside from that, he also dislikes Lance, his incredibly over-righteous mentor. So that you learn from his lore. It's a pretty cool story, you should read it. And let's take a look at a first clip right here. This just to show you that Samuel is a mage who has some pretty disgusting amounts of sustain. It's just crazy how much Samuel can sustain himself sometimes. So without further ado, let's get right into his abilities. Samuel's perk is Corrupted Genius, which means that every 6 seconds his basic attack will be a bolt of dark energy that deals extra crystal damage and returns to him, replenishing his health and energy based on crystal ratio. Samuel's first ability is Malice and Verdict, which fires 2 quick shots of dark energy from his 2 wands, Malice and Verdict, their names, and they deal crystal damage to enemies that they hit. These deal single target damage, but they can deal splash damage, which is something we will get to later. Malice and Verdict have a pretty low cooldown, but it can be even lower with his second ability. So Samuel's second ability is what makes his kit so interesting and fun, Drifting Dark. It summons like a cloud of dark gas that moves in the direction that you place it. You gain a small move speed boost and health regen while you're inside it. And while you're inside it, the kicker is that your Malice and Verdict shots become empowered, dealing splash damage, extra crystal damage, and flying further with each cast. So this is really what makes Samuel's kit tick, and it's very, very important to his central playstyle. Lastly, we have Oblivion. Basically summons a dark spirit at the location, and if it hits you, it puts you to sleep. Think of a stun, except you can't activate items. So let's get into some gameplay analysis for Samuel. This first clip exists for no other reason that I wanted to show you that I'm cool and can block Cruel's sword with my reflex block. So with that out of the way, let's get into the real clips. Okay, so in this fight, Lance misses his impale, and we are going to find that Cruel is in this bush. Now, we're going to pause it right there because I have used my Drifting Dark into this bush, and we have found Cruel. He's going on to Blackfeather, but notice that Drifting Dark has separated him from the rest of his team. Idris has jumped onto Lance using his ultimate, which means that if he wants to touch me at all, or Blackfeather or Lyra, he's going to have to use his protective ultimate into the fray, which is very bad for him because that would probably mean he dies. So basically, Cruel is dead here. We're going to chase him no matter where he goes, and Drifting Dark essentially cut off his escape, because that's where my empowered attacks are. So this is just going to end with us winning the fight, landing Oblivion on him. Blackfeather is going to go on to Idris because he wasted his ultimate, and that's it. In this clip, Lyra and I have decided to take the Kraken. Now this is a risky idea because the enemies are coming. So eventually we are going to narrowly capture the Kraken, and we are going to be on the back pedal. Lyra is getting hit, but I'm content to recover my energy. So the enemies are going to come at us here after I infuse. Lyra gets hit with the Null Wave Gauntlet, and Idris immediately jumps onto me. Now you see I channel my Drifting Dark right there, and this is a quintessential oh shit moment for Idris. Whenever you see Samuel walking backwards and casting his Drifting Dark, especially when he has an Eve up, it is a very bad idea to keep chasing him unless you can get behind him. He has incredible sustain walking backwards with Drifting Dark, and you can see right there I'm just pummeling the enemy team with Malice and Verdict. I am going to miss my Oblivion here. but that's okay. So right here, again, I'm kiting backwards, Lyra is in front of me, and this is just such an amazing position for me to be in. This is the position that any good Samuel will want to be in when you're in a match, in a fight. So Cruel doesn't seem to have a lot of shield, which means that he's going to have Lance body block for him. But I'm just going to be able to keep kiting back and running and using my boots to counteract his, and now again I'm going to cast Drifting Dark as it comes up. So this is an even worse moment for Cruel because he is snared by Lyra's Bulwark, and there's really nothing that he can do to get out of the way of my Malice and Verdict since Lance missed Impale. Now my shots fly far enough so that I'm going to be able to kill Lance, and that's it for the fight. The next fight is in almost the exact same place as the last one, and it takes place after the Kraken push. Once again, Blackfeather is coming back to join us, and I'm going to get impaled by Lance here. So I cast my Drifting Dark backwards, but I instantly get pushed out of Lance, and I miss blocking Cruel's ult. So I'm going to pause it right here because you see I casted Oblivion at my feet. Now, I totally missed Drifting Dark because I didn't count on getting pushed away by Lance and stunned by Cruel, but when you're playing Samuel, casting Oblivion at your feet is the if all else fails sort of play. And you see this play is going to work here, and it's going to allow me to keep on kiting back just like I did in the last fight and score a kill shot on Cruel. So you're going to see Blackfeather go down here to the Idris Blink, and I am just going to kite away from him so I can kite backwards again, hitting Lance. Now I knew that he was going to blink right there. He wouldn't have wanted to just run at me because I would have hit him with Malice and Verdict. So he's going to blink at me right there, and this just sets me up perfectly for another Malice and Verdict. Gonna hit him with one shot, but Lyra's gonna steal the kill. But we are going to get the kill on Lance, and that's going to be the end of the fight. So just always try to kite backwards in your Drifting Dark with Samuel. So this next clip is in a different game, and the fight is going to break out in their Tribush. Now I'm going to get silenced by Catherine, but I'm in Drifting Dark, so it's fine, and their Alpha went into Termination Protocol early. So Glaive is going to get stunned up, but I'm going to save him with Oblivion. Now, Catherine is actually going to echo her silence, which is really bad for me, and even worse for Glaive because he's going to die. So as I'm kiting back here, Catherine is most certainly going to go down, and that means a 1v3 for me. You might be thinking that's a bad situation, but for Samuel it's really not, because my Drifting Dark is up. I'm going to be able to cast it backwards and pummel them with Malice and Verdict. So you might be thinking, well, just 1v3 them, but they're going to split up, which makes that kind of tough. But luckily, Alpha thinks she's a pro and is going to end up trying to Prime Directive over the wall against me, and that's just not going to work when I'm in when I'm in my Drifting Dark field. So the drafting tips I can give you for Samuel are as follows. When you're picking a support for him, almost anything works. Lance works, Lyra works, Arden works, Catherine works, Adagio works. The only one that really doesn't work is Fortress. And as another carry, you're probably going to want a strong weapon carry like Skye, Kestrel, Gwen, maybe Blackfeather, because you can play Samuel in lane or jungle. Now, if you want to go a solo carry-oriented Samuel, you could have maybe a Glaive, Cruel, a weapon melee jungler, somebody like that down low, and you in the top lane. So that's kind of what I think when I'm trying to draft Samuel in a ranked match, and I hope that can kind of help you guys out too. So if you're picking Samuel to counter a specific hero, there are a few that really work well. Now, Gwen is really popular in this meta, CP and weapon power just because of her insane damage output at all stages of the game and long range. Samuel destroys Gwen. Crystal power, you can't get in range of him. Weapon power, you can get even less in range of him. Samuel just pummels Gwen when his shots are empowered with Malice and Verdict. Same thing with Kestrel. Even Petal, because her minions will go down to the splash damage. All of those meta picks, except maybe Koshka, all of those meta, long-range poke picks that you're seeing right now, a Samuel with a good support can just tear through those. So that's what I always look for in draft when I'm trying to play Samuel. Just look for those meta picks, a lot of the stuff you saw in Worlds, the poke, comp, wars, everything like that. Samuel does really well into those. Alright, lastly, let's do builds. What you're going to want to build on Samuel is Broken Myth, Eve, and Frostburn. Now, it depends on the order that you want to build them in. Later this week, I should be releasing a by the numbers Broken Myth versus Shattered Glass and other items that don't pierce shield guide, like on which heroes you should and shouldn't buy Broken Myth now that it was nerfed. But Samuel, I can tell you, is one of those heroes that still benefits more from Broken Myth. So you're going to want to build Broken Myth, definitely. Eve to get that crazy regen in your Drifting Dark field, and Frostburn to keep the enemies away while you're in your Drifting Dark field, and make it easier to land your shots on a second hit. So, of course, you're going to need a reflex block and situational defense, but if the enemies aren't really doing any weapon damage, then you can go for a 4th offensive item, maybe a Shatter Glass. I like Aftershock. It's pretty fun to synergize and stack with your perk. So that's going to be it for today's in-depth, guys. Hope you all enjoyed. See you later.